What is going on, everybody? We're here for another episode of Believe in Kentucky. My name is Vinny Hardy. Got the QB1 with us, Jalen Whitlow. Man, Jay, how you doing?
Good, man. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Got a legend. Our guy Aaron Gershon is not with us tonight. He's covering media days for the Cat's Paws, but he had some family down in Nashville, so he's doing the family thing. He'll be back with us next episode. Got a guest with us tonight, though, Jalen. And look, you look in any kind of UK receiving records, his name is up there, no matter what category, receptions, yards, touchdowns. This man's name is up there. We're talking about none other than Keenan Burton. Keenan, man, appreciate you joining us, man. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Anytime. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's been a little minute. You kept on my other little podcast. It's been a few years ago, and reached out to you, and you was able to hop on tonight with us. So, man, we definitely appreciate having you because it's media days popping off, and right around the corner for the season to start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, I should have looked it up. Did you go on any of the media days? Did they take you any of those years? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you approach it? Did you like that stage? Did you want to get it over with? What was your mindset?
Man, that's a great question. To be honest with you, I could really care less. I wanted to play football, so it was one of the things that they wanted me to do, so I did it. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into or what was expected, so it really wasn't a tough thing. It was more so just answering the questions as they asked them honestly. That's all it was.
I figured they probably would have taken you. I was like, doing 4-year guy from Kentucky, the impact you had, I figured they would have. Real quick too, man, I gotta get your thoughts. Coach Brooks, they just had the facility named after him and his wife. What do you think when you saw that, man, the field?
I was proud, man. I mean, he deserved it. Coach Brooks, he paved the way for Mark Stoops up to this point, and he put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting Kentucky to where it was at. And Rich Brooks is probably, outside of Mitch Bernhardt, the number one reason why things are in the place that they're in now. Because without him, Mark Stoops wouldn't be able to stand on the shoulders that he's standing on.
Man, Jay, jump in with anything you got, man, because y'all.
No, I agree with that. Obviously I didn't play for Brooks, but he came back a few times when I was at Kentucky and spoke to the team and was around the facility. Seemed like a guy everybody liked and respect. So, obviously what they did from a football perspective on the field kind of, speaks for itself. At the end of the day, we know where Kentucky was football-wise. We know where Kentucky's been and where they are now. So you can't help but to, respect the people who kind of paved the way before them. So I was actually shocked to see, because I didn't know anything about his name was going to be on the thing, on the facility. I scrolled on Twitter one day and I saw it. And I was just amazed by how green and how new the turf looked. Obviously, brand new everything. They kind of edited that thing outside of it to where the track used to run around the indoor facility. So now they got full end zones, right? Space outside of the end zones and whatnot. So that was cool. But yeah, it was cool to see that, man. Because I didn't know that was going to happen. So I thought that was cool to see.
And Coach Stoops has kind of been wanting that done for a long time. And so, my question for both of y'all, how much of a difference does that make? How big of an impact does that make for your facility to be a full field? As a quarterback, as a receiver, when you're practicing indoors, to not have the corners cut off because the track is, coming through there. How much does that mean for y'all?
I don't think it has anything to do with the players, with practice. I don't think that it has anything to do with that. I think it has to do with the recruits. A recruit comes in and they want to see what the facilities look like. And when you're not up to speed or on par with the Alabamas and the Georgias, then you're not going to get some of those kids. And so think Jay would agree. You know, we're gonna practice on what we got to practice on. It really don't matter to us, but it's more about now being able to have a full field and not have it cut off. It's more about recruiting, I think, and it's also about just the whole look of how the University of Kentucky looks as a whole now, especially in the football department.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, from a recruit coming in, if you just visited Alabama, Georgia, LSU, then you go to Kentucky, like, well, damn, do they not take it serious enough to make, just add the extra space so we can get a hit zone? So that's what goes through a 17, 16-year-old kid's mind. Like, why not just make it a full indoor? You already made it this. So definitely recruiting, matters, because now, you got more space. And now as a player, I remember being, in the indoor, especially in spring ball, we're installing goal line or red zone concepts, and we're working goal line fades, and we got to put cones on like the 10-yard line because we can't go into the end zone. So just little stuff like that I'm sure, obviously I've never been ahead of a program like Mark Stoops or Mitch Barnhart, but I'm sure for Mark Stoops probably was annoying. You know what I'm saying? We got to always worry about guys running on a track or, whatever. We can't get a full scrimmage in the indoor. Now they can really, if they want to, get a full scrimmage in there and not have to worry about, receivers getting used to whether it's a toe tap in the back of the end zone, where the quarterback's putting the ball in the back pylon, whatever it may be. They actually have that now. So, stuff that really don't make that big of a difference, but when you have it, you appreciate it. So I think that's what it is. But definitely the recruiting piece.
Had y'all been watching the interviews, the media? Jalen, Keenan, you said you didn't really care about it, so I'm not going to assume what your answer is going to be. But had y'all been watching some of what the coaches were saying with this week being SEC Media Day?
Well, my bad, Jay. Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Well, so let me rephrase what I said. Not that I didn't care about it. I think that it was a great honor for me to be able to do that. It's more of, I'm more Kobe Bryant. Let me say that I was more Kobe Bryant. I'm more focused on, you taking me away from preparing for what I got to do during the season. But it was an experience that I enjoyed. But yes, I am paying attention to some of the things. Actually, I haven't listened to anything, but I'm obviously on Instagram. I've seen the guys there. I know that all the guys that are there now are from Kentucky, which is really cool for me. Being from Kentucky, I think that that's a really cool thing that Stoops did with the boys. And I know that he's got an answer for this 3-5 SEC season we had last year. So I'm anxious to hear, how he handles those questions and what's going to be different this year, which I know he'll get it right.
Yeah, I watched it. I'm one of those guys. I want to see if they slip up and give some information that they, they don't supposed to give. So I was listening to, what he said about the quarterback situation, what he said about the coordinator situation, and he sounds super confident to me. He sounds like he's confident in what they got. He said he's really confident in where the program is, and you hear the chatter saying that this may be from top to bottom the most talented offense, and we hear all that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just think from a program standpoint, they're in a really good spot, man. You got a coordinator who, and we talked about this, but NFL guy. You're starting to get these quarterbacks who are, first round draft pick grades coming out. You're able to attract receivers that are track guys that can really run and all of this good stuff. And defense has been consistent. He spoke on how the defense has been consistent, how Brad White has been consistent, which is we all know in this conference, if you don't have a defense, then you might as well just go somewhere else and play because it ain't gonna work out. So he spoke on those things, which is good. So I enjoy watching this stuff because I get information from it, and you can really get a sense. They try to hide it, but we know coaches, and you really get a sense of how they kind of feel about their team. By the way they answer certain questions. So I thought it was good to watch, and Stoops is he's straight up and down, man. He gonna be honest, and and he gonna say it like it is, but he also real real media savvy. He's not gonna really like give you what you want to hear, but he'll give you enough to run with.
And he was, not up there just being a comedian, but he's not just stiff as a board, like y'all saying. He's relaxed. He kind of himself. It's like he's comfortable with the whole thing. To me, and y'all know him better than you. Y'all know, been in the rooms and stuff. Comfortable with the team he's got, like y'all talked about, fixing the things from last year. He kind of took accountability. The special teams, the offensive line play. That's on me. He said that several times. So, like you said, all about rectifying things and confident in his ability to get that done.
He's gotten it done over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So I have no question in his ability to do it. It's just really putting all these things together. And the landscape of college football has changed because of the transfer portal. You know what I'm saying? And so one thing I don't question is whether or not we have a chance going into every game. And I haven't questioned that since probably maybe about 5 years ago. Every game we play, we got a chance. Even last year against Georgia, we had a chance. So I know he'll get it right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think he feels comfortable with, for that very reason. He feel like every game they got a chance to win it. And I was like, shoot, man, I know they got it this year where they play. Obviously, they're gonna play Georgia because Georgia's in the East, but they play Bama as well, which is a tough schedule for anybody. But he feel confident enough to where, I think that he would be, I think he's confident enough to that he can pull out this thing, and I think they could. I think he feel like they can get 10. If they can get 10, that's like really good, and they got the talent too. But as we all know, it comes down to the stuff. Can you stay healthy? Are you really clicking? I think if they can, we talked about this before we got on. If they can run the ball effective enough, they got good enough receivers, good enough quarterback, good enough coordinator. And if they can protect the quarterback, they don't have to be, 2018 Kentucky running the ball. They don't have to be, they don't have to be that. They can run the ball well enough to let their balance take over with Cohen. So I think that's the cool part, and that's where Mark Stoops can sleep well at night because he know at the end of the day, I got a coordinator that I trust. I got a quarterback that can throw it. I got a transfer running back in who can run it. We got additions on the offensive line. So naturally, we should be better than last year. It's about how good can we get. That's what it's about. So he's always confident in them being able to stop people on defense. I mean, if you look at it, to be honest, they're the only team last year that really, they almost shut Georgia down almost in a way. I mean, Georgia couldn't really move the ball at times. So I think he's confident in that. I just think, he just wants the offense to be balanced. He's always wanted that. Even when I was playing quarterback, he always wanted balance. He didn't want anything. He didn't want one-sided offense. And that's when you get in trouble, especially when, we were outmatched, call a spade a spade. We were outmatched against most of the teams we played. You playing Georgia. Georgia got better talent. It is what it is. Look at the defense. Look at those guys that went pro. All of them. South Carolina, when I was there, all of them went pro. So when you one-dimensional, you guys know this, it's hard. So, I think that's one thing he's confident about. Those guys can be multifaceted and multi-layered on offense. And he know on defense they can play well enough. They can be physical to slow these teams down.
I kind of liken it to, y'all familiar with basketball, and you see the stat sheet or the broadcaster will say, oh, they had all 5 starters are in double figures. Is that kind of the approach that this offense could be with Cohen, with these tight ends, with these receivers, with these running backs out of backfield, with Leary kind of just distributing? Could it be that, okay, if they shut down this here where you got this, and this, is that kind of what they're trying to achieve, in y'all's opinion?
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. He mentioned that today. You know what I'm saying? He mentioned that in this press conference. He talked about when Cohen was here in 21. They had Wandale called every ball seemed like. They were, which probably didn't allow the offense to reach its potential. Because at the end of the day, you're throwing the ball to one guy. Now, they talked about how deep the tight end room is. They talked about how deep the receiver room is. They got running backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield, got a quarterback who can spin it. So he talked about, distributing the ball across the board. You got a few guys you get the ball to, and we know the names. So I think, from an offensive coordinator standpoint, or me just being a coach and a quarterback, it makes your job a lot easier when people got to, they got to spread out. They got to equate numbers. So now we can find space, we can find grass, we can find leverage. When you locked in one-dimensional, teams can kind of, especially teams like Georgia, they can kind of get you matched up and get you in the spot where you don't want to be. So no doubt they can spread that thing out and have a couple guys kind of, go for 20 and 3 or 20 and 6, so to speak.
Yeah, with Liam Cohen, you're not going to stop him. You're not. A lot of the things that he does, he uses a lot of the 2 tight end sets, bunt sets, and he confuses a lot of the defenses in the way that he calls plays. I think last year the issue was we were just so trying to be so technical, and it was just the same thing over and over again. And you saw that in Will Levis's play. It had nothing to do with how good Will was. No, Will was amazing. He's an amazing quarterback. Should have went, I think, in the top 5. That's my personal opinion. But the point is, when you think about this year and what Liam did the year before when he was there, even though Wandale got the ball a lot, there was a lot of different things that he did, a lot of different sets that he put the guys in. I mean, Rodriguez was running wide open in the flats a lot of the time just because of the play call. You're not going to stop him. You know what I'm saying? The guys got to make plays a lot of times, and I think we know this. And all of us playing ball, you got to make the play. A lot of times it's about the coach putting you in a position to make the play, and can you make it? If you make it, he looks good. If you don't, he looks terrible. And he is a heck of an offensive coordinator. I was so excited when he came back. And offensively, with the receivers that we have, the quarterback that we have, and we'll have a good running game, it's going to be very difficult for teams to stop us just from a concept perspective.
Now, and y'all can see it and we've heard it. We hear about Leary, we hear about him coming from NC State. Some of the players, you hear about his ball maybe being better than Levis's ball. Are people are they knocking Levis now as they praise Leary, or is they trying to nuance it? You hear some saying maybe it's an upgrade. Is it, in y'all's opinion, because we know we just had in Levis. We saw him in Liam's offense. Is Leary an upgrade? Are people kind of trying to knock him and prop up Levis? I don't know if I'm even asking that question right, but y'all know what I'm trying to get to. Y'all's thoughts on that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's an upgrade. I just think you're getting a guy who probably had more. Who I know he had more snaps under his belt than Levis. You're getting a guy who he's proven to be able to throw the ball at a high level. Now, granted, he played in the conference who, some of those teams in the ACC are allergic to playing defense on that level, but he's proven to be efficient. He's proven to be, accurate with the football. He's proven to be able to make good decisions. Low interception rate, right? That's what everybody's talking about. When they talk about Will Levis, the first knock is interceptions. They talk about Leary, the first praise they give is he doesn't turn the ball over much, right? And we all know the type of ball that Stoops want to play, control the ball, play good defense. That's going to be key. But I don't know if they're knocking Will per se. And it may seem that way. They may go out this year and throw, and have a blast on offense and really set records or whatever. And it's going to seem that way, but look at the circumstances that took place last year, and you got to take that into account. Injuries, offensive line play, new coordinator, right? So I don't think they're necessarily knocking him. You know, maybe some people are, but I wouldn't knock him. I just think it's just, you know, it's just all situational.
We know as players, man, it's what have you done for me lately? So
Yeah.
the fact that there may be people knocking Will, that's what fans do, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's why it makes the sport in college football and the SEC so amazing, is because they get a chance to discuss it and talk about it. I'm gonna leave the comparisons up to the fans to do, because I'm not gonna compare the two, but it's a systematic approach. I mean, I'll give an example. The way that Andre Woodson functioned with Ron Hudson when he was the offensive coordinator was way different than how he functioned with Ron Sanders as his quarterback coach and Joker Phillips as his offensive coordinator. And so, you know, one of the things that I realized is that when you compare people, you compare somebody's advantages to somebody else's disadvantages. If Will would have had Liam last year, we probably would have saw what we saw the year prior. Now, when we looking at the team as it's made up now, you're going to see improvement because, in my opinion, the coaching is better. So I'm not going to say that one's going to do better than the other did, but what I will say is that I know that the coaching is a very critical aspect of having success. And I think that this offense is going to have success because of who the offensive coordinator is.
You talked a lot, especially like looking at your tweets last season. A lot of praise for these young wide receivers. A lot of praise for Dane Key, Barian Brown. So just your thoughts on them. You know, you played the position; they're playing it now, and your thoughts on what Dane did coming in and didn't play for the guy that recruited him, didn't play in the system he thought he'd be playing in, and still did what he did, and now his guy is coming back. So your just thoughts on how all that is going to play out.
I love the receiving core. I'm excited to see exactly what they do and how they function, and I'm probably Dane and Barian's biggest fans. You know, I hope that they go out there and break every single record that I have or that Craig has, because he's the only one ahead of me, and he's not better than me at all. I'll say that on camera. Not even close. But I hope that they break those records. But man, for Dane to come in and do what he did is a special thing. I didn't even know who Barian Brown was before the season. I had no idea who he was, and I really didn't have a lot of. I watched Dane a lot in high school or know about him. I did meet him the year that he was getting recruited, so it was kind of cool to have that connection. But these guys are exceptional. You know, I've only seen a receiver like them before, and I would say that Stevie Johnson is exactly the same mode as these guys, or they the same mode as Stevie. They're special with top end speed, catch the ball, are tough, smart, and they adapted well that first year. And I really am interested in seeing what they do this year, and I can't wait to be front and center to see it.
Yeah, you know, I told y'all this from me watching Kentucky from the time, you know, I got there to now. It's just the truth. Ain't no knock on nobody. The best receiver core that I've seen, especially at the top. You know, it just is what it is. You get freshmen come in and doing that. You know, and then in the offense like that, I know the verbiage of that offense. I know how much it takes to learn it. I know the intricate details of it. How many adjustments you got on each play and each route, calling 2 and 3 plays in a huddle. Coming from high school where you may have 3 words in a play call, or you may have a 1-word play call most of the time, or not most of the time, but some of the time, or you may have, you know, Ace 95 or whatever teams running the air raid and all of that stuff. Coming to a system like this where they're pretty much running San Francisco system, and you know, and I know because I've seen the playbooks and all of that stuff, man. That's hard to do for an 18-year-old kid. So to be able to compartmentalize and then go out on the field and do it while thinking, because they're thinking. They're 18 years old. They just got in this system. They're thinking and playing. Wait till they get to a point where they can just react, not have to think. That's where you want to get to. I think that's the mark of a good coach. If you look at Wandell in 2021 Wandale was playing fast, man. From the snap of the ball to the whistle, he was playing fast. He wasn't really doing a whole bunch of processing. So that's when I say, okay, that's a good coach calling plays. That's somebody good coaching them at receiver because they're playing fast. And we talked about this last year when they were struggling on offense, that it looked like they were thinking, they were processing as they were playing. You can't do that. There's too many good athletes on the field. You got to be able to react and play off instinct, right? Instinct is what you want to do. So when they get to the point where they can do that, they get in the offense, they get situated, they get comfortable enough where they can just instinctually play football. You're going to see that thing take off to another level, I believe. So they just need to have some balance on offense, right? You can't be one-dimensional. But if they get to a point where they're running the ball pretty well, they can employ the play action game, shots that they take downfield, drop back game, screen game, right? All the tempo calls. Because Liam Cohen, one of my favorite things that they do with the Rams and that he do is tempo. He break the huddle fast, snap the ball fast. He'll one-word play call you. They'll run the ball for 7 yards, and they'll get back on the line of scrimmage and snap the ball fast. In my opinion, changing the tempos is hard on the defense. When you got guys playing fast in that system, it's a fun system to play in. Guys don't want to play in slow systems all the time. They want to be able to play fast, not have to process a lot, right? And know it like the back of their hand where they can really let their athletic ability take over. And that's when I say when you start seeing that from those guys, I think they can do something special in the conference. So we'll see.
And results alone, like you said, it's what have you done for me lately, Keenan? But it had to mean a little extra something more because Liam came from your Rams. So you had to love that, right?
I did, man. I got a chance to talk to him during a high school football camp at UK, and we talked about the West Coast offense and all the stuff that he runs, and just to hear the concepts and then also his plan, and not really being sure at the time about Will and the young receivers that they had until and then to what he's doing, and then to go back to the Rams, and then say, you know what, Kentucky's home. That to me was dope. You know what I'm saying? That to me was really dope. And one of the things that I appreciate about that is that he could have stayed up there and, and just been happy with McVay calling plays or whatever it is, splitting play calling duties or what have you. He said, no, I want to go back home, and Kentucky's his home. And so I'm really excited to see what he does. And I'm probably one of his biggest supporters, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, side note, Evan Ingram came and spoke to the team today. He just got that big contract or whatnot. But he came on the field today and spoke to the team. We get a lot of NFL guys train at Walker.
Okay.
A lot of them. Georgia we had Nolan Smith over there. All of them. They all come over and train. Because the people who train our kids with speed and agility also train those NFL guys. So they come over to the high school and train. But I thought it was cool, man, because I know he just inked that deal, and he happened to be around, came and spoke to the team today. So the kids enjoyed that. But I just wanted to mention that. I thought that was a cool deal. I know everybody probably hitting his line right now. He just got paid, so how that goes. But I just wanted to mention that, man. I thought, for a guy, in that situation who just, signed that type of deal to take the time out of the day, come talk to a bunch of, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. I thought that was dope.
Give them hope. That's pretty dope, man.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, sure, man. Who was the most Levis-like quarterback that you play with, and the most Leary-like in your career of all the quarterbacks you played with?
Wow. Levis-like probably would be Shane Boyd. Shane Boyd probably is Levis-like. Shane's ball, he had a cannon, and it was perfect. Sometimes, I would have to say, hey, Bino, calm down. Like, you're doing way too much. And he could run. He was physical. He was fast. Leary-like probably Dre. Probably Andre. Not as mobile, but throws a really, really catchable ball, and he's very, very accurate. Very accurate, and you know he's going to make the right decision. A lot of times, the trust that you have in the quarterback is in their ability to make sure that they don't get you knocked out or put to sleep. Man, that's where you find
man.
because there are times where I played with Curtis Pulley also. We forget about him because he didn't spend his whole time in Kentucky, but very accurate. But sometimes he's throwing medicine balls. You don't trust that. But I would say Shane is more real life, and Dre's more very life.
That's an interesting question. That's a good question. I remember Andre was on staff my freshman year. And he used to throw the ball in practice, man. I used to be like, dog, I wish. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. No, we ain't have a quarterback on the roster to throw it like he could. I mean, and not just the velocity. We had quarterbacks who can rip the ball, but it's just like his ball got like a I don't know, man. It's like a pillow when you catch it. It's just so smooth and soft and just he just know how to. Hey, he knew how to put some touch on the thing, man. He used to throw that ball, man. I remember I used to enjoy watching like old clips, Kentucky clips they used to play, in the halls, or we had the film too, and I was like, man, this dude is super accurate. I was slightly jealous of how much he can put the ball in certain spots and just the touch that he played with, I thought was unique, really, and it was one of those things that was to behold from a quarterback perspective because everybody don't have that, man. That's a gift. That's a gift.
Yeah, he's on another level. He got the short end of the deal in the league, and it is what it is.
Yeah. So, number one thing is whoever keeps you from getting put to sleep. A close second, I guess you'd rather have a little bit taken off, a little more touch than dudes trying to throw it through your chest. But I mean, you're gonna catch either way. But if you had your preference, you prefer a little more.
Yeah, I mean, in the offenses that I've played in, and now in the league, it's more timing than anything. You know what I'm saying? It's more of, I know, in the West Coast offense that I ran with Pat Shermer, and coming from the tree of all these other different coaches that ran that same style. You just want the ball out soon enough so that you can get your head around to catch the ball. I don't want everything hot. And it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily necessary. But there are times where it's like, hurry up and get this ball to me so I can get down too. Mark Bozier was a great quarterback that I played with. Now, he was on the back end of his career when we played, and he was taking some shots. But he did both. He was able to throw the ball with the velocity that was necessary, but he was able to put some finesse on it when necessary as well. So, like you said, either way it goes, I'm gonna catch the ball. But if I have my choice, it would be somebody that was a little bit more on time or before than somebody that, there's a window, and let me try to fit it in here. You know what I'm saying?
When y'all first throwing, just for both of y'all, Jalen too, like never thrown with each other. Both get on campus in the summer, no coaches there. You just throwing on air, filling each other out. What mental notes are y'all making about each other? What are you processing about this receiver that you never thrown to? What are you processing about this quarterback that's never thrown to you? What little, maybe it goes unsaid, maybe it's said and verbalized to one another, but what are your initial impressions and mental notes you're making about one another?
Hey, man, I remember as a freshman, we had the summer 7-on-7. Like I said, I mean, you're going from a high school offense with a couple words in the play call to, I was in Randy Sanders' offense, was straight pro style, and it's a true pro style system. We on the center. So I was getting on the center for the first time in a long time. I remember summer 7-on-7, Morgan Newton was just telling me I'll get to play. I ain't know. I mean, I was brand new. I didn't know. He didn't give us the playbook until later on in the summer about camp. So I didn't know what the play was. He was just telling me what routes everybody had. I was just doing the best I can. But the biggest thing was, and what helped me was I understood enough. I learned enough in high school to understand, windows, understand a little bit of timing. So that kind of helped me out. I wasn't in a situation in high school where, we were just throwing to receivers who were way better than the opposing team. We had good receivers. We had a good team, but it wasn't that type of thing. I learned how to, have some sort of timing. Never was great at it, but I learned how to have some sort of timing where I'm not leading my receivers, on glance routes and throwing the ball too late to the middle of the field, letting the safety take his head off. So that's the quickest way to get receivers to not like you. And I understood that from a young age. And I also played a little bit of receiver in high school too. So that kind of helped me out too, because I remember we had a game where caught a slant late, 6'5" linebacker right in my face as soon as I catch the ball. It ain't necessarily a great feeling when you defenseless. So, but the biggest thing that you kind of gain, I guess, to answer your question was you're trying to take in everything. You're trying to take in how guys run routes, who's the speed guy, who's the possession guy, who's the jump ball type guy, who are just the route them up type guys. How every quarterback is throwing because you're competing with the quarterbacks. What do you do better than they do? What can you take from their game that they may do better than you? So it's 1,000 things going through your head at one time. So you're trying to learn these complex coverages that colleges are running. So it's a lot, but you get through it and you learn, but it's a learning process. That's why I tip my hat to anybody who come in as an 18-year-old freshman and they completely ball out. I don't care what position you play. If you come in as an 18-year-old kid and you ball out on the same field with 22-year-old, young men, then, you're doing something because it's hard to do that.
Yeah, when I first came in, the mental notes that I was taking is what they needed. I would listen to what Jared would say to different receivers like, Tommy Cook, Derek Abney, and all those guys. And I would say, okay, so he expects them to be at a certain place at a certain time. And also how hard they throw, and how fast the ball gets to you. And if it's you deemed a catchable ball. 'Cause sometimes quarterbacks, the first pass I caught from Jared was not a catchable ball. It was a knuckle ball that hit me square in my chest, and he threw it 100 miles per hour. And so I was like, all right, I got to kind of get ready to catch this ball with my chest sometime. And then you're also trying to figure out from the quarterback's perspective where you're supposed to be at. Where you're supposed to be. I would hear, quarterbacks talk about, hey, listen, when I throw this out route, you got to be running back downhill. You can't drift upfield. And playing quarterback in high school in a wing tee offense, I didn't throw the ball too often, so I didn't really understand what that meant. I'd never played receiver before, so I'm just trying to figure out where I need to be at, what they expect from me, and how to get the job done. That's the only thing that I cared about. Only thing that mattered to me.
Makes sense. Being from Louisville, what was your first thought of Kentucky? The rivalry. Did you grow up a Louisville fan? The whole history and your journey to Kentucky, being a Louisville guy.
I hated Kentucky growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Hated them because that was what was forced upon me by my family. All negativity. Bad things being said about the University of Kentucky, obviously, but and then to answer your question about the rivalry, oh yeah, 100%. Always into it. Can't wait for the basketball games, the football games, and I wanted Kentucky to come out on the losing end. But man, especially, and this is you sit in the position that I'm in because the school did so much for me to a point. I couldn't have went anywhere else. I would have been miserable at the University of Louisville, even if I would have gotten an offer. And there's nothing in my life that I'm more proud of than being a Kentucky Wildcat because it changed my life forever. Changed my family's life too. So now I hate Louisville. I can't stand them. I don't like them. and I want them to lose every single game that they play in. It's the Wildcat in me.
I got you. Um, and speaking of, just real quick, just to veer off of his, how'd y'all think they look? Up in Toronto, handling business, winning that gold medal in the Global Jazz. Two bigs out, but it didn't even matter. They ran through all those countries.
I'm gonna say this: it don't matter how they look. If Cal don't hang number 9 this year, I'm done. No, I'm joking. Man, they look good, but I don't care about none of that. I want a championship, and he knows it. He knows it. That's what the fans want. And if we make it, I'm in Arizona when we cut the Nets down. That's my answer.
That's the word.
Yeah, I like I said, I enjoy watching them, man. I do think there is a little bit of merit to, them building that confidence and winning that thing. But but we all know that the talent level and the intensity, is a little bit different when you're playing SEC basketball and you get in the SEC tournament, then you get in the NCAA tournament. So we'll see how they continue to build. They got enough pieces to do whatever they want to do this year. They got enough talent to do whatever they want to do. They got guys who can pass. They got shooters. They got bigs. They got athleticism. They got ball handling. So it's what I'm saying. Kentucky fans really gonna want that banner hung up, man. It's gonna be a lot of pressure on Calipari, but
he can take it.
Yeah, to whom much is given, much is required, I guess.
Now, Keenan, man, by the time you left Kentucky, two teams got added to the league. Texas A&M, Missouri, got Texas and Oklahoma coming. So out of those four, would you, if you could pick one that you want to play against or a place you want to play at, what would be your pick out of those four teams that weren't in the league?
Texas, and then it would be Texas A&M. As a kid from Kentucky, one of the things that gets misrepresented is how talented we are in Kentucky. And one of the things you always hear is that Georgia football, Florida football, and Texas football is the best brand of football that you can play. And I'm not disputing that. But them Texas boys would have had to see me. And I don't want to hear, none of that. I'm a competitor. I'm still a competitor. I'm going to compete. And so that would be a personal thing because I just hate hearing that Kentucky don't have talent. That bothers me. The state of Kentucky don't have talent in football. We're known for basketball. Kentucky's a basketball state. Okay. And that, so to answer your question, Texas for sure.
So what about you, Jalen? Because you played Missouri, but you didn't play A&M and Texas and Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, play Missouri twice. I would like to play Texas for sure all day. Honestly, Texas was one of the places that I would love to go coming out of high school. I was like, they just seemed like they had everything. You know what I'm saying? You always hear about Texas and whatnot, but that was one of the places that I was like, I would love to go to Texas. But definitely Texas, no doubt about it. I would have loved to play that, what they call it, DKR. I would love to play at Cal Field, Texas A&M, obviously. But Texas would have definitely been it for me. But also, kind of piggybacking off what I coached in Texas for a couple months before the pandemic hit, and I ended up moving back because we didn't know what was going on with the world. So I ended up moving back to Georgia. But one thing that Texas football is better on the when you combine everything, the people, the money, the programs, the prestige. But talent-wise, pound for pound, I'm not one of those people who believe that Texas is the best football state for talent. I don't believe that. And I'm saying that because I played in Alabama. I coach in Georgia. Georgia has pound for pound more talent than I've seen. Louisiana has a lot of talent. Florida has a lot of talent. Ohio has a lot of talent. I know for a matter of fact, it was a Lexington, Louisville, Kentucky team who was just down in Alabama for a national 707 tournament. They go every year. I think it's male. They go every year and they compete with all the top teams in the country down there, and they be beating them. So there's talent everywhere. But I would have definitely loved to play a game at Texas. That would have been dope to me.
That's good stuff. Good stuff, man. Jay, Keenan. Last thing, man. Pitchers want to have similarities with the fastball and the changeup and everything look the same coming off the arm, the shoulder angle, and all that. What's the art for the receiver to look the same coming off the line? You the old school guy, Jimmy Smith from Jacksonville, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. You don't know if it's a goal. You don't know if it's a hitch. The DB can't recognize what route you're doing. What's the art of looking the same coming off the line?
It's different now. It's not about looking the same anymore. It's about deception. A guy might line up in a certain split now, and he might line up in a close split and run a fade. He might line up in a close split and run a slant. The way the routes are ran now are totally different than they were ran when I played, and the game has changed. And so I would say it's really about understanding the type of offense that you're running and understanding where you need to be. You don't even necessarily have to confuse the DB anymore if he's off. The concept confuses him. A lot of times now the inside receivers, when it comes to routes, it's an option route. So they're being placed on a safety or a linebacker. And so I don't know. I've been so far removed from the style of route running for such a long time. And when I watch it, it's kind of confusing to me because it's totally different than the way that I ran routes. Totally different. And then they got all of these different, and see, I'm going to go on my soapbox real quick because they got all these different receiving gurus that teach all of these different concepts and steps and jumping off bags and swinging water bags and releases. Like, all of that goes out the window when you staring Richard Sherman or Darrell Revis or Charles Woodson in the eye. All of that goes out the window. Then it's just playing football, But maybe I'm not the guy to answer that question because I'm disconnected. I'm disconnected because when I see it, I'm confused. I'm very confused. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing. And we would love to have you out, by the way, to help, our receivers, man, because we definitely would need some. Our biggest thing right now is press releases. I just took over as coordinator at a school who hadn't won more than 4 games in like 6 years. So we got a long way to go. We getting better though, but we got a long way to go. But I think the biggest thing right now nowadays, you look at the Rams, you look at kind of what Cohen's doing, the splits. I think. Like you said, where they're running routes from as far as the splits are so different. So, like, I remember when I was in college, this 2012 through 2015, nobody was running a slant from a condensed split, really.
No.
Nobody was really doing that. Now teams are angles. They're running more slants from condensed splits. Their tempo on their slants from condensed. Their angle slants from condensed. Like you said, they're running the fades from condensed from number one receiver, from the outside guy. So, it's a lot different now. Somebody that does it well is Shanahan with the 49ers.
Heck yeah.
They are. It's a master class from when you're talking receiver splits. I mean, you would think they got outside foot up when they're running this, and you would think it would be steps, and it's just everything is different. It's really fluid now. So they can run whatever route, whatever concept from whatever split, and find a way to make it work. I mean, they do everything. They run dagger concepts. They run everything from super condensed. So what I mean by condensed is those guys they're nasty split or they're close to the line of scrimmage, and they're running 20-yard angle digs, and I mean it's a different ball game from what even when I played. So I know it's different from back when you play receiver in the league, because it's just.
You saying I'm old? Nah, I'm just playing.
No, it's just.
He talked himself into a corner right there.
I knew when I started saying it, I knew it was coming.
But to your point, everything evolves. Everything evolves, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, but the change and the way that, and I heard a professional, I can't think of which pro coach said this, NFL coach said that, Andy Reid, I think. He says the game changes in high school first, then college adopts it, and then the NFL adopts it. Yeah. And so a lot of different ways that guys run routes are based on these high school coaches just trying something to confuse the defense. It's the craziest thing. And so you can't really press. It's hard for you to really press when you have condensed splits and bunch. You can press the point if you want to, that's fine. But if that guy misses and he gets lost, it messes the whole defense up because somebody's going to come open. So I could talk about it all day, but I'm not going to bore y'all with it. But yeah, it's changed a lot, man. It's changed a lot. I can't tell you how to run routes no more because I don't know. I'll teach my son when he's older. We'll figure it out in about another 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons now Andy Reid is like, I love watching Andy Reid teams because even if you go back to like what year did they go to the Super Bowl? Terrell Owens and McNabb.
05, I think.
Yeah, even you go back then because I got some like old NFL film, and they was doing stuff that like they think people are just starting to do now. Like some of this, the tricky stuff or the gimmick stuff, they were doing it back then too. But I think now a lot of times those NFL guys is almost like everything's so, it used to be super cookie cutter where everybody's running like, you either run West Coast or you run this or everybody whatever. Now, you look at high school ball, you look at college ball, the stakes aren't as high. So there's less money involved for some of this stuff. So coaches got more range to try stuff. So high school coaches, we always trying stuff, because at the end of the day, you gonna fire me? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So we always trying new stuff. And if it worked, great. If it don't, then it is what it is, but we always, trying stuff, and those guys do, they take stuff from the high school game, to the college game, from the college game to the pro game, but it also work in reverse too. So you got a lot of guys in high school now trying to do what the Rams are doing, and 2 play calls and all of that stuff too. So, it kind of goes back and forth.
You mentioned the different type of corners, how all the freelancing and creativity and all that goes out the window, depending on who's lined up across from you. Did you have a preference? Would you rather have a lanky DB, a tall guy, tall as you, or a short, stocky type guy? Did it not matter as far as, going up against, different type of body types of a DB?
I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, I don't have a choice, you got to figure out a way to win, especially when it starts in college, playing in the SEC. One of the strongest positions on the field, in my opinion, in the SEC are corners. And so when you're the number one receiver, you're the guy, then you're going to see their best corner. So one week, it might be a tall, lanky guy. Next week, it might be a short, quick guy. I mean, it really just depends on the game plan, I guess. If we looking to take the top off, I would rather be against a smaller receiver. If I'm looking to get physical, if he's lanky and skinny like me, I feel like I have an advantage because I'm a little bit more physical, in my opinion, than those guys. It just really depends on the game plan, but I don't care. I mean, at some point, everybody got to see me or I got to see them. It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. The game within the game, man. That fun stuff. So, absolutely, man. Kenny, we have enjoyed this, man. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a little guy and you got the family, and still took time to hop on here with us and chop it up, talk a little media days, talk a little UK football. Season is coming, man. So appreciate getting your insights on all these topics that we hit. Everybody, be sure to check it out, man. Believe.com, like always. We were live on the Twitter and the YouTube, so y'all can check out the audio or the video, whatever you want to do. Got the merch, got the Cat Daddy shirt. Jalen named that, so y'all go in there and get you a shirt as well. So appreciate that, man. And man, I have to get you on here if you're willing to come back once the season gets rolling and get your thoughts again on how things are going, man. Once they kick it off.
For sure, man. Anytime. I appreciate y'all for having me, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. And then let's wrap too. If you need me, I'm a phone call away, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll let you know.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Episode of Believe in Kentucky, y'all. We'll catch y'all next week. Thanks to Keenan Burton and Jalen Whitlow. My name is Vinny Hardy. Aaron Gershon will be back next week, and we will do it all again. So y'all stay safe and take care until then. We'll holler at y'all next week on Believe in Kentucky.